Hello, John Hampshire here from JH Coaching. Today I wanted to talk about training plans and how you can build a training plan that will work for you. It's not complicated, and the thing is to just keep it simple, be consistent, be realistic, follow these 5 steps. So first of all, you need a goal. So what's your target event? How long is it? How long is it likely to take you? Work out what you need to do to achieve it. So basically that means how fast do you have to go and for how long do you have to go at that speed, and work out when you're going to do the training. I find it's best to work with a weekly routine, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail later. Then you plan your week in a bit more detail so that you've got training sessions that help you get a bit faster and training sessions that build your endurance. And then work out how you're going to measure your progress. Are you going to do regular races? Perhaps if it's a short event, you can do some short races. Or if it's a longer event, well, you can't really do that, do representative races, so you've got to think of different ways to measure your fitness. And then basically all you need to do is get out there and do it. So what's your goal? You've probably got something in mind, given that you're watching this video, and so define that goal in as much detail as you can. Is it just one event that you've got in mind, or are you looking to do multiple events over a period of a few months? You might have several events planned for this summer coming up. Therefore, what do you need to do to finish those events in what you consider to be acceptable? So if you want to run 5 kilometers in 20 minutes, for instance, then you have to run 5 times 1 kilometer in 4 minutes without any rest. So and that that's quite clearly defined. But if you've got a longer event, and if it's not on, if it's off-road, or if it's hilly, or you can't really predict the weather, or it's affected by the weather, then it's much harder to know how long it's going to take you. So therefore, you have to make a guess, really. The more of these things you do, the more similar events you've done, then the easier it becomes to make a guess as to how long you're likely to take. But just make your best guess, and the good thing is that the longer the event, then it's not quite as critical to know the intensity that you're going to have to work out, because there's a bit more of a broad band. So the next step then is to work out when are you going to train and for how long. And like I said earlier on, it's good to work with a weekly schedule, because most people do similar things on similar days each week, and even if you're not tied to an actual schedule yourself, then you might probably want to interact with other people that do have a fixed weekly schedule. This also makes it easier to work out if you get tired on a certain day every week, then you probably need more rest, or if you feel you can't do certain sessions on certain days, then you could add an extra rest day in or something like that. So it's easy to make adjustments if you've got a fairly fixed format. And if you work 9 to 5, then on a Monday to Friday, as far as a fairly standard week, then you probably have less time during the weekdays and a bit more time at the weekends. So you can schedule your harder, high intensity sort of interval type sessions during the week, and then do longer stuff to build endurance at the weekends. Or if you don't have to build endurance, then you can do a really focused sort of hard interval session at the weekend when you've got a bit more time, and that can glean a lot of benefits. Also, it's good to schedule a bit of rest into the plan, and for instance, a lot of professional athletes that maybe don't train any harder or any more hours than people who are working full time, but they've got a lot more time to rest, and that makes a huge difference. So what you could do is schedule maybe Sunday afternoons to have some personal time and have a rest and reflect and re-energize everything, and that can actually make a huge difference to your to your fitness levels. And then the next step would be to plan the week in more detail. So what are you going to do on the days of each week? And back to what I was saying, you if you're making the most of the weekend to build your endurance, then you might be a bit tired on a Monday, so you'd want to make that an easier day. And Tuesday you might want to do something a bit harder, or if you take a bit longer, if you're like an old bloke like me, then it might take you 2 days to recover from the weekend, so you would then might not want to do anything hard until Wednesday, and then Thursday you could do something a bit longer because it's easier to do sort of a less intense type effort. So for example, you might do some 8-minute efforts on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, 3 by 8 minutes with 2 minutes rest, and then on a Thursday you might do an hour or an hour and a half, a lower intensity, and then Friday you'd have an easy day, and then you'd be ready for the weekend again. So that's typically a week schedule that I would use. I'd probably make Saturday a bit harder than Sunday. Sunday might be a bit longer than Saturday, so higher intensity Saturday, a bit longer on Sunday. And then it's useful to measure your progress. So although Strava gets a lot of bad press, I think it's a great tool to measure progress, particularly if you don't have a power meter. Power meters are, if you've got a power meter, and it's very easy to measure progress because you can see what your average powers are over different durations. But if you don't, then you can use Strava segments, and so there might be segments in your area that you can use to see how fast you are over a given segment and see whether that's improving, or you can set up your own segments. And another feature of Strava is if you do a similar circuit regularly, then it'll tell you how long you've taken over that circuit and show you your progress. So what would be a good thing to do is set up segments that are shorter than your goal event, particularly if it's a really long one, but sufficiently long to be representative. So if most people that I work with are doing endurance type training, so a really good effort would be like 20 minutes. So if you can create a segment of around 20 minutes, then you can see whether you're getting faster over that segment. Make sure you're well rested, plan it in as one of your main sessions, perhaps on a Saturday, which might be a more intense session. Get a good warm up, give it a good go, and see how you get on, and hopefully you'll be improving. One thing though is don't expect to improve every week, and in fact it takes a couple of months to make a physiological change. So, and also bear in mind that as you train consistently, you might build up some fatigue. So what you might find after 1 month of training, you're not any faster, or you might even be a little bit slower because your first effort you might have been quite fresh and full of enthusiasm, and then a month later you might not be so fresh. So you have to be patient, and don't get despondent if you don't make an improvement. But if you continually if you're not improving after 2 months, then you're doing something wrong. So you need to think about what are you going to change, make a change. Maybe you need to do more hard work, maybe you need to do more easy work, less hard work. And I've certainly found that doing less hard work can work very effectively for a lot of people, so they can just focus on 1 or maybe 2 really hard training sessions each week and fill in all the rest with easy training. And to some extent that's the ethos of what's quite popular, is the polarized approach to training. And then the next thing to do is, well, do it, because the plan is great. We all enjoy planning, but it's actually doing the training that makes the difference. So get out and do the training, be consistent, stick with it, and I'm sure it'll work out for you.